All right, guys, so we got to talk about Jalen Rose, the ESPN basketball commentator who maintains relevance by occasionally making super woke comments, okay? And here he is again making woke comments as he is demanding that we stop using the term Mount Rushmore. He wants to cancel Mount Rushmore because apparently, according to him, Mount Rushmore, the term is offensive, and it is offensive because it is referring to stolen land from the Native Americans. Therefore, he wants us to stop using the term, right? He wants us to cancel Mount Rushmore. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Take a look.
Why do you think Washington changed their name from Redskins? I do a show and didn't say that word for 8 years. And my co-host David Jacoby, we both said they're going to change the name one day. Why? Because it's offensive. What about the Cleveland Indians? Same thing. Why did they change the name? Because it's offensive. So I want to continue to challenge myself and to challenge you to do something. Can we retire using Mount Rushmore? That should be offensive to all of us, especially Native Americans, the indigenous people, who were the first people here before Christopher Columbus. That land was stolen from them when it was discovered that it contained gold. And 25 years later, to add insult to injury, 4 American presidents were put on what we call Mount Rushmore, on the top of the dead bodies that is buried right underneath. So I call for you and for myself, I'm owning this too. Let's stop using the term Mount Rushmore when we talking about our favorite rappers, talking about our favorite movies, we talking about our favorite players. I know you're gonna see this video and I know you're gonna take action.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wow. Oh my God, there's just so much there to break down and to talk about because these guys are hilarious, okay? These people have become jokes, okay? I don't know what history books they're reading, but they're reading history books that is leaving out a lot of context in regards to history. But let's start with this first. He talks about the Redskins, okay, and how they changed their name to the Commanders because the term is offensive. Well, I personally believe that they didn't really change the name because they felt like it was offensive, okay? They've been using it all these years, even despite some of the woke backlash. I just think that organization is so corrupt, right? And was so poorly run that they decided to change the name as a part of a way to fix their brand, okay? Essentially saying, look, we'll cave to the woke mob on this by changing the name, and hopefully that doesn't make us look as bad, okay? But again, if the name is so offensive, right? The name Redskins, the term Redskins is so offensive. It's amazing to me how this guy just used it in this video after saying he hasn't used the term for 8 years, right? It's so offensive that you just used it, okay? Again, it doesn't make any sense. But in regards to the crux of what he's saying about trying to cancel Mount Rushmore, okay, we need to stop using the term Mount Rushmore because Mount Rushmore was built on stolen land and land that has dead bodies under it, okay? Now, where does Jalen Rose get this claim from, right? This claim that the land is stolen. Well, there's a little bit of history behind it, depending on what you define as stolen, because in 1868, the United States entered a treaty with the Native Americans who were occupying the land known as Black Hills. Now, the Native Americans that were occupying this land were known as the Sioux. I believe that's how you pronounce the name of those Native Americans. I'm not sure. If I get it wrong, I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, in that treaty, the United States said, look, this land right here, including what is now today Mount Rushmore, is yours, right? You can have it because basically we have been fighting with them over it for a long time, right? Leading up to that. And we was fighting like, look, you can have the land. Then we discovered that there was gold on that land and basically decided to renege on the agreement and redrew the boundaries and confined those people to a farming lifestyle on a reservation, okay? So fast forward to 1980, okay? The Supreme Court basically ruled that, look, we in fact did wrongfully take your land. We broke our treaty, and here's reparations, right? And they gave them $100 million in reparations. Now, the Native Americans, right, decided that, you know what, we don't want to take it because the land is not for sale, right? We're not going to take it. The United States government's like, okay, that's fine, but we're still not going to give you the land back. Okay, here's the reparations whenever you want it. So now the reparations, the money that is given to them for the United States government taking the land, is literally sitting in like a bank account collecting interest. And today it is like over $1 billion, right? Over $1 billion, okay? So it is sitting there, right, waiting for them to take it whenever they want it, in reparations for the United States government taking their land. But again, this idea of stolen land is what I want to talk about here, because these woke revolutionaries are always whining and complaining about so-called stolen land, as if all land, right, on earth that is inhabited by a group of people or a tribe or a nation isn't stolen, okay? More than likely, if, you know, there are people living on land right now, okay, more than likely, somebody before them came through that was a more powerful tribe and basically dominated, conquered the tribe or the group of people living on the land before and stole it, okay? I mean, that is history in a nutshell. It is about the conquerors and the conquered, okay? It's about the strong versus the weak. That is the reality of history. That is the reality of the world that these people simply do not want to accept, right? In fact, these Native Americans that these people go out of their way to defend so much, and I want to be careful before I get into this. I have no issues with Native Americans at all, right? I have no issues with Native Americans, but I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real. Before the Europeans came to the New World, right? The North American continent, I mean, I guess, and South America as well, too. The Native Americans were fighting each other, right? They were stealing each other's land, okay? They were fighting each other for territory. They were also participating in certain ritualistic practices that we would not find to be very moral, okay? Like, for example, the Inca were doing child sacrifices, okay? They were ripping children's hearts out, literally. Okay, they were doing things that we would find to be barbaric nowadays, okay? But for whatever reason, these same people who always talk about the evil sin of slavery from the white man, which is not even specific to the white man, but they do that because for whatever reason, they want to make the white man seem to be the most powerful entity to ever walk this planet as a way to justify why they are oppressed, okay? They don't realize that in virtue of them acting oppressed, and their reasonings for why they're oppressed, they make the white man seem like he's God, right? He's all powerful. That's what they make it seem like, right? They try to act like slavery is only something that the white man invented when that's just not true. But anyways, they have nothing to say about that, right? They have nothing to say about the things that Native Americans did that were extremely messed up. Not to mention, they also own slaves as well, too. Native Americans enslaved blacks, right? In fact, Native Americans wanted their slaves so bad, they wanted to keep their slaves so bad that even after slavery was outlawed in the United States, there were still certain tribes that was just like, no, we're going to keep our slaves. Like, we want to keep our slaves, okay? I mean, that's literally what happened. But these people go out of their way to defend Native Americans so much, and I really don't understand why. You're simply doing it because you've been told to do it. That's what you've been told to say, but you don't actually really understand the history or know the history. Because if you knew the history, you would have the same smoke for the Native Americans that you got for the white man, right? Why do you got all this smoke for the white man and the so-called evils that he did, like slavery, but you ain't got no smoke for the Native Americans that did the exact same thing that the white man did, right? You ain't got no smoke for them. And this is why I hate the term BIPOC so much. It is the stupidest term I've ever heard in my life. Black and indigenous people of color, right? They try to throw black and so-called indigenous people together in the same group. You're the same. Black people and Native Americans were exactly the same. In fact, some of you black people actually were the natives. You were the Native Americans. That is what some of these people believe, okay? Not saying there may not be some truth to it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that is what some people say. But the reason why they use that term is because they want to combine black and so-called indigenous people together as one group of people to say that you're the same in an effort to oppose the white man. Again, these people act like before European colonialism, all these other people on earth, right? All the non-white people on earth were just living together in kumbaya. There was no conflict. There was no wars. People weren't trying to take over each other's empires. None of that was happening, right? None of that was happening before the white man decided to try to conquer the world. But see, I'm going to tell you guys, I made this argument before and I will continue to make this argument. What these people are really mad about, they're mad because European colonialism was successful, right? Or put it this way, it was the most successful attempt in the modern age, right, at world domination. And they're simply upset about that. They're simply upset that the white man figured out how to conquer the world and to create an empire, right, that spanned the globe more successfully than any other group of people in history. And because of that, they're salty. They're mad about that, right? This is why they won't let it go. This is why they want to make every white person in this country feel guilty about European colonialism, even though they had nothing to do with it at all, even though most of their ancestors were actually peasants, right, were actually poor. They didn't have anything to do with slaughtering Native Americans or slaves. Their ancestors didn't own slaves, none of that, right? Most white people in the country ain't got nothing to do with that, okay? Because again, most white people in this country, their ancestors didn't come from royalty or from the upper class, okay? But again, they want to make every white person feel guilty about it, even though they don't have anything to do with it at all. And what really blows my mind here is that these same people that complain about this so much, they wouldn't be who they are without European colonialism, right? Jalen Rose should actually be thanking the Europeans for conquering North America, right? He should be. Why? Because Jalen Rose couldn't be $1 million black athlete living a luxurious lifestyle without it, right? Imagine if Jalen Rose was born in Africa, would he be Jalen Rose? Absolutely not. He'd probably be some slave. You know how we know? You know how we know? Because in Africa, they rounded up the slaves, right? They rounded up slaves. You know who the slaves they rounded up were? They were the tribes that got conquered, right? They were the lower class individuals, okay? Those are the people they sold to the white man. So if the white man didn't buy the slaves from the Africans that rounded them up, right? Guess what? You would probably be living in Africa, a part of a lower class society or tribe. That's where you would be. That's where you would be. Which, in my opinion, I would much rather be in America, right? I would much rather be living the life I'm living now than to be over there, right? I'm just saying. But again, these people, they for whatever reason, they don't realize that. They don't understand that. They don't understand how much of a blessing it is to be in this country, right? There's no other place on earth where it is better to be a black person than here, period. I'm just saying. So again, with the Mount Rushmore thing, why, right? Why should people stop saying Mount Rushmore just because, the Native Americans, hey, at the end of the day, they got conquered. You know, it sucks. It's sad, but I mean, that's history. Right? And I'm not trying to offend Native Americans or anything like that, but that's just the truth. If facts offend you, then you're the problem, not the facts. I can't change the facts. They got conquered. It is what it is. Yeah, we broke a treaty and we took back the land, right? Yeah, I'm not saying it was right, but at the same time, we broke a lot of treaties. And there's a lot of land across the globe that's been stolen. And as a black person, hey, all I gotta say is this: the Native Americans, even after slavery was ended in the United States, some of these people, they still wanted their black slaves. So hey, I ain't really got no dog in this fight, right? So the American government tells the Native Americans, you need to assimilate or else. Hey, I'm gonna turn my head the other way. They wanted to keep their slaves. What am I supposed to say? I'm just saying. And if you're so offended by the use of the term Mount Rushmore because the white man conquered the Native Americans, well, maybe you should stop speaking English, right? Because the white man also had slaves, right? Stop speaking English. Stop culturally appropriating English folks, right? Stop. Go speak Swahili or something, okay? I'm just saying. We can take this much further if you want to take it that far, okay? We can take this a lot further. It is what it is. And I can't be mad and upset about it because at the end of the day, I realized that European colonialism was a net positive. Right? All that stuff that happened was a net positive. This is how we have the world that we have today, which I think is overall positive, right? Especially if you live in this country. You should be thankful. You should be thankful. But again, a lot of these people are simply ungrateful. They're ungrateful. And the reason why is because they're ignorant, right? They're ignorant. They don't understand the full context of history. They think that Everybody on earth was living in kumbaya, getting along with each other until the white man came along and decided that, hey, we want to try to, take over your lands and pillage your resources and stuff like that, when that's just simply not the case. Everybody was trying to conquer everybody. It is what it is. Some people were more successful at it than others. I ain't mad at it, right? It's history. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.